what we are going to discuss is about the minimax technique. Minimax technique is Bayes technique only. This is actually coming from the Bayes, right? Bayes technique for a particular, right, prior. So this is the thing. So minimax technique is the same as that of the Bayes technique only. We have to fix this probability, right? So in case of what is called the cost function, pi naught is the prior probability, and this is the error, right? P naught of gamma 1 is the error involved, right? This prior probability for the transmission, and the probability when, right, associated with when one is being transmitted. This is the average we are trying to minimize. This is what your Bayes technique. The problem is we need, then only we can actually find this gamma 1 and gamma. This gamma and gamma, right? So that is what actually is what we call it as your design a detection block. So detection theory involves detection theory, right? Involves finding out this gamma naught and gamma 1, right? So that is what we discussed, right? It is like that. So now where is the issue here? The issue is this pi naught and pi 1 is not known. Of course, pi 1 is nothing, 1 minus pi naught. Pi 1 is equal to 1 minus pi naught, that is fine. But this is not known. Or if you are fixing some value of this pi naught, and then you are designing this Bayes rule, that is the detection, this gamma naught and gamma 1, and you are able to get this by fixing some value of this pi naught, right? But in real time it gets deviated, right? For example, let me plot this graph. Here we have this prior probability pi naught, right? And this is the cost function. The cost function now C bar only, but as it is a function of pi naught, right? Let me call, this is nothing but Bayes only, C bar only, but this is right for every values of pi naught, it is what actually calculated, right? So you have the cost function. See, it means that, for example, if I fix some value of this pi naught, then I can find out what is my gamma naught and gamma 1, and hence I can find out the C bar, right? So, right. So if you keep on doing this, if I am getting this curve like this, right, from 0 to 1 here, right, from 0 to 1, right, and then you have the cost function, Bayes cost function for every release of pi naught. What are, for any arbitrary pi naught, if you choose, you will get this gamma naught and gamma 1. Once you gamma 1, I mean gamma naught and gamma 1, such that this C bar is getting minimized, right? So that C bar is the value what you see it in the the curve here, right? So this is the C bar value for a typical value of this pi naught. So this is the base cost. Whatever you see here, all the points, everything is going to be the base cost here. So all are base cost for a particular prior probability. The problem is, suppose that you have designed the Bayes rule with here. This is what this prior probability you are actually. This is friends, right? But now what is happening here is your prior probability in real time, it is not going to be this pi reference. It is going to get deviated from this, right? So now what is that cost? How that is? Remember that you have designed already this base cost. It means that your gamma naught and gamma 1 is fixed. For particular pi reference, design this base cost. I mean base root and gamma 1 is fixed. So your C bar now in this expression now with some arbitrary function p here and constant 1 plus. So in case of pi 1, I'm writing this 1 minus p and this constant is k2. Remember that what I'm doing in this expression is I'm just fixing this value p naught of gamma 1 with some constant k1 and this p1 of gamma naught, that one I'm fixing with some constant k2. That because we got a particular gamma naught and gamma 1. Once this gamma naught and gamma 1 is fixed, so those probabilities are actually fixed. But your prior probability is deviated. So now the cost function in real time is going to be the function of t, and that is going to be that line. That is what I'm telling, right? So this is going to be that state here, like this. It is getting deviated, right? So now in this expression, in fact, now it is a function of p, right? So that is what the thing, right? So let me rewrite this graph, right? As p in this expression, right? So let me put it as this function p in this, right? Let me call this as p here, and this is function of p. The probability as p. Pi naught is also the probability, so it's a function of p now. So let me put it as the function of this. When p is 0, you here. When p is 1, you get the value here as k1, right? So it is like that. So what is k1 and k2 is from this expression. From this expression, mute your. Okay. So in this expression, your k is nothing but p naught of gamma 1 cost. Cost. So what you are seeing on the slide, yeah, are you able to hear properly? Yes. This is that fine now? Okay. So now you see that this just a moment. There is some loose contact. Yeah, P naught of gamma 1 and this naught, they are all the conditional cost here, right? So this is the conditional cost here. Right? So what your K2 will get increased. In the problem is, as I told you, this in minimax technique, we are interested in fixing this prior probability. That is what the idea is. We are interested in fixing the prior probability. So where to fix? Suppose that if I am fixing here, your K2 is less, K1 is greater. Suppose if I am fixing here, this point, this, get the curve like this. In that case, your K1 is, in that case, K2 is greater than K1, right? Depends upon where you fix. Suppose that if I am keeping this as a P reference, pi reference, K1 is going to be here and K2 is going to be here. What I'm trying to say here is, if I try to minimize this K1, K2 will increase. If I try to minimize this K2, K1 will increase. So the optimal point in this graph is the location where we get, so V of P graph for various prior probability. If I that is the maximum of it, your conditional costs are going to be that equal. This is going to be your K1 and this is going to be your K2. They are going to be that identical. They are going to be that equal. Right? At that point, what we really achieve here is, this is the point where you are treating it as a pi reference and you are designing that Bayes rule, and you are getting this pi gamma naught and gamma 1. Bayes rule means you are supposed to get 1. That is what we call it as Bayes rule. So once you got this, right, you are this as a Bayes cost. In real time, even now, the prior from what we assumed. This is assumed prior probability. Suppose that your prior probability is also is not going to be the same, right? If it is getting deviated, even if it is getting deviated, your cost function, the cost function is not changing because it is a straight line. It is a straight and it is not changing. Right? So we cannot say that it is the best. Always the Bayes is the best way to get deduction rule. There is no doubt in it. Rule. But for that, unfortunately, we need to freeze this prior probability. Suppose that if I know what is my prior probability, then you have to necessarily go for this Bayes technique and then you can freeze the rule. You know how to freeze that rule at all, right? But when it is not known, when this prior probability is not known, then you have to go for the case, right? So the safer side, right? So where you have to freeze the prior probability corresponding to that max of V of P. So, right? So that is what we call this as a minimax technique. It means that maximum of the conditional cost that you are trying to, that's what I said. If I try to minimize K1, it will get K is getting increased. If I try to decrease this K2, K1 is getting increased, right? So I'm trying to find out, right, such that, right, I would like to minimize the max of the conditional cost. So K1, if K2 is greater, that one I am trying to minimize. So if I keep on doing that, the best way to attack this problem is this, choosing this pi reference here for which this value is going to be, right, peak, the max of your V of P. So even if you get deviated from this original value, right? So your cost function is going to be flat, you are safe. This is what we call this as a minimax technique, right? So if we go for the binary case, right? Somebody asked about this piecewise representation. It is not modeled as a curve, so it will be a piecewise linear based on its formula, right? But see, actually, whatever we got now curve is the more generalized. Discussed the example, right? So that is a discrete case. When y is discrete, when y is discrete, we got piecewise linear. 3 straight lines, what we got actually. But in more general, whatever the graph we got now, it is of general graph, right? So where this need not be one piecewise linear, it is going to be that continuous. In other words, whatever you receive in the receiver section, if it is continuous, you will end up with this continuous curve in this base curve, right? But what we discussed previous class, right? When y is discrete, when it takes the value 0 equal to 1, binary channel model, in case you are going to have this piecewise model like this, right? So whatever I have done earlier is more general. When is the case when y is discrete, when y is discrete, right? So it is like you got a model that the intersection y, and you have a channel characteristics like this 0 1 0 1, and you have a right. So we have this associated with that, right? So say like this is alpha and this is beta, right? So of getting 0, 0 is transmitted, probability of getting 1, this is going to be 1 minus alpha and this is going to be 1 minus beta, right? So this is, and this is a discrete case function, right, of this. I mean, piecewise linear model. What is that actually you get? But the idea is the same. You are going to look for the peak. You are actually going for look for the peak. In this case, the peak is this. So you have to fix. You can say that pi. Yeah.
Sir, screen
Max.
is not updating, sir.
Hello.
Sir,
Yeah.
your screen is not up.
Sir, can you like change your network, sir? Because the screen is not updating continuously. It is for like a long time. It was
Yeah,
fixed in
I
the
can
previous
do
screen.
that.
Yeah, thank you, sir.
So can you tell me that rule number, rule 1? What is that gamma 1? I mean, gamma 1 is 1, gamma naught is 0. That is that rule 1 here. And then gamma 1 is 0. And then gamma 1 is 1 here. And then rule 3, gamma 1 is 1, 0. And then this is gamma naught, right? And then gamma naught is null. And rule 4, it is gamma 1 is null. And then gamma naught is 1, 0. So somebody tell me, what is that rule number we have to assign here? I mean, we discussed that one in the previous class. 4, 4, 1, 3. So check is that the same way we have represented that rule? This is the way, right? So this is 4 here and this is 3, that is sure, and here it is going to be either 1 or 2. 1 or 2, that is what I said. It depends upon the problem. This region we have either 1 or 2, right? But here this is always going to be 4, this is always going to be 3 in this, right? So this is what we got. Now what I'm trying to say here is we are going for what is called randomized decision rule, because we have to find out the rule for which this is the max. This location is the max here. Just before this we have 4. Just after this, we have either rule 1 or 2. Let us fix for time being, we have that rule 1, right? For better understanding, right? Let me fix it as, but in reality it could be 1 or 2, right? So now let us say like this. Just before this we have the rule 4, and immediate after this we have rule 1. So at this point, what is the rule I have to fix? Right? So that is what we need to know. We need to fix the rule. We need to fix the rule, right? Corresponding to the prior probability by minimax. So that is what we need. We need to fix the rule corresponding to that. But immediate before that, we have a rule. Let us say the rule is represented as delta. We have the rule delta minus, which is basically the rule 4. And we have a rule delta plus. Just immediate after this pi minimax, the rule is going to be that rule 1. At pi minimax, what is the rule I have to fix? That is the question, right? So we cannot actually fix either rule 4 or rule 1. So in that case, what we really go for is we go for what is called randomized decision rule. Randomized decision rule means we go for both. We go for both rule 4 as well as rule 1. To make you understand about what is that randomized decision rule, let us say, to make you understand, right? For example, here in this case, we have what is called rule 4 and rule 1. What is that rule 4 says? Rule 4 says that, right, when you receive 0, right, you are going to decide, 1 as well as 0 in both the case, right? So either y equal to 0 or 1, you always decide it as what? So that is what the rule 4. Rule 4 says if you are getting 1, you decide it as 0. If you are getting 0, then also you decide it as what? 0. That rule 4 is actually saying that. But what is that 1 says? Rule 1 says you decide 1 when you receive 1. You decide 0 when you receive 0. This is the rule. Right? We need to actually combine these two, rule 4 and rule 1, right? So we need to use both these rule with different probability. We need to use these two rule, right? So what does it mean? For example, what you receive. So to make you understand, writing the sequence 1 0 1 1 0 1 1 1 0 0 0 1 1 0. This is the sequence what you receive in the receiver section, right? So you have what is called the roulette wheel. You have a roulette wheel now in this. Okay, I think I have to use some circle. So going to have to understand this randomized decision rule, right? I will explain you how to fix this roulette wheel and how to fix this area and all slightly, I mean, later on, right? Immediate after this, right? So let us assume that we have a roulette wheel and we have two different area. One area is meant for rule 1, the another area is meant for rule 4, right? So now what we are going to do is, for every y what you receive in the receiver section, right, we have to rotate this, we have to rotate this roulette wheel, right? The pointer may point either rule 4 or 1, right? So this is the roulette wheel. I'm just writing this roulette wheel, what it is actually pointing out every time, right? So just for understanding, this is also I am writing it as more random, right? And keeping in mind that area for this R1 is larger, so most of the time you may expect R1, but you will get R1 and R2 like this, just like that, right? So this is like this, R2, R1, then R1, then R1, then R2, then R2, then R1, like this. I have randomly selected here. You have to rotate this roulette wheel and you have to see what that roulette wheel is actually, the pointer is selecting. If it is selecting R1, you have to put R1. If it is selecting R4, I'm sorry, it is R4. Wherever you see this R2, you replace that one with R4. Right, so in this case, it is R4, not R2. So this is R4 here, because it is between R1 and R4. So this place, you have to put R4 in this, like this, right? So now you see that this is the actual sequence what you receive in the receiver section. And this one is basically the roulette wheel, what that output of the roulette wheel is actually giving you. Now you are going to detect. What is that you are going to detect? Right? So you are going to detect. This is what you are going to detect. What is being transmitted from the transmitter, right? So now you see what you received is 1, and I have to apply the rule 1. As far as rule 1 is considered, if you receive 1, you will get 1 only. So the first one is 1 here. Now here you are having that second one is also what, rule 1. In case of rule 1, when you receive 0, you are supposed to get what? You have to declare that as 0 only. So the second one, what you are going to declare, this one is 0 only. And the third one is again is a rule 1. So what you receive is 1. So you have to declare that it is 1 only. So there is no problem. You have to put it as 1. Now up to this is fine. You have this is over and this is also over. Now coming to this, now you have to go for rule 4. When it is 1, you have to say it is 0, and that is what rule 4 is saying, right? So now in this case, actually you have to go for rule 4. As this rule 4 is considered, when you receive 1, you are supposed to declare them as what? 0 here. You have to be careful, right? That is what. So when it is rule 4 again, as when it is 0, you are going to declare them as 0 only, right? So this is also, this is again ends up with what? 0 only, right? It goes like that. See, for example, what is that value for the next? Somebody tell me the answer. You are telling, then it will be good. For this point, what is that receiver section is going to receive? I mean detection. When you receive 1, yes, it is at rule 1, so you are going to get this 1. So can you fill this complete sequence now? Complete sequence fully. This is 1 here, and this one is going to be 0, isn't it? So this is going to be that 0 now. And whenever this rule 1 is considered, you get whatever is there here, the same thing will come into picture in this, right? So this is 0 here, this is again 0 here, this is 0 here. When it is a rule 4 here, when it is a rule 4, then you have to make it as 0, irrespective of whatever you are having here. Irrespective of whatever you are having here, it is going to be 0 in this. But rule 1, you have to, if it is 0, you have to put it as 0 only in this, right? It goes in that way. I hope you understood this. right? So it is not the single rule I am using for detection. This is the detected sequence. So this is the detected sequence. But in that detected sequence, right, we are not using single rule. We are using two rules, R4 as well as R1, but it is chosen based on the probability. And probability you can feel like, you know, it is like just like a roulette wheel having two different area, and then you are actually selecting this R1 and R4, right, by rotating this roulette wheel every time. When it is R1, you have to apply that rule R1. When it is pointing out R4, you have to apply that rule R4. It is like that. So this type of rule is what we call it as, this type of detection is what we call it as randomized decision rule. This is the random decision rule where we are not actually fixing one rule. We are having more than one rule, but we have that probability associated with the individual rule, what to fix, right? So this is called the randomized decision rule. And coming back to this original track, right? So here, as I told you, we are interested in freezing the rule corresponding to the peak, this point. But what is I can fix at this peak point? We cannot actually fix R4 or R1 because it is a transition point, right? So we cannot actually choose either R4 or R1 just like that. We have to go for what is called the randomized decision rule, where we go for both the rule R4 and R1, but we need to know what is the probability that R4 is actually to be used and what is the probability that R1 to be used. In other words, what is that area of this roulette wheel? This R1, right? So what is that area you are going to choose for this R1, and what is the area you are going to choose for R4, right? So that we need to freeze, right? So how to freeze that? So that is the requirement now. So we are going to freeze just by, let me put it as like this, you know, the cost, conditional cost function. The conditional cost function I'm going to equate, because we know minimax technique involves what? In the previous discussion, we understand that it is actually, it is a location of the prior probability where the conditional costs are equal, right? So the conditional cost, right? So it is something like, let us put the representation like R naught of delta and R1 of delta. Don't get confused. It is a rule. That's it. It is a rule. Delta is the rule. It is a conditional cost when 0 is transmitted. It is a conditional cost when 1 is transmitted with the rule delta. Delta is the representation of the rule. It is just a representation, right? But so now what is happening here is we have one rule immediate after this, one rule immediate before this. So we have what is called delta plus is one rule is available. Delta minus is the another rule available. Both the rules actually we have to use for the conditional cost, right? So if I want to know that average conditional cost, incorporating both delta plus and delta minus, I hope you are able to understand now. Delta minus means the rule just before this, just before this point. That is, in this case, the rule 4. Delta plus is the rule in this case. In this case, delta plus is the rule 1. Delta minus is that rule 4, right? So now you are going to find out this average conditional cost R naught of delta. As I told you, these two rules are you are going to use with some probability. Let us assume that probability to be this P here. And of course, this probability is going to be that 1 minus P here, right? So it is like P into R naught of, let me put it as this is P and this is 1 minus P. So just reverse. Let me choose this as P here and this one as 1 minus P, right? Delta minus P and delta plus is 1 minus P. So this, both the rules we are using with two different probability, one with P, another one is what? 1 minus P. So the conditional cost R naught of delta is actually given by this probability P, then R naught of delta minus plus 1 minus P, because I'm just finding out this average, R naught of delta plus. In the same fashion, you can actually go for the other conditional cost, R naught of delta. It is a conditional cost, right? So that is given by P into R1 of delta minus plus 1 minus P into R1 of delta plus. As far as this minimax technique is considered, these two conditional costs are supposed to be equal. That is what we discussed. So just recollect what we discussed in the previous slide. We had a base cost and we had this line, and these two are the conditional cost, right? These two conditional cost, right? We have to choose this prior probability such that these two conditional costs are actually equal. The conditional costs are equal here, right? So that is what the location we are supposed to freeze, right? So in other words, in this case, what I am going to do is to find out this P, I am just going to equate this R naught of delta that is equal to R1 of delta. As simple as that. And of course, we have this expression here so that you can actually solve, right? So it is now the simple algebra. P into R naught of delta minus plus 1 minus P into R naught of delta plus, that is P into R1 of delta minus plus 1 minus P into R1 of delta. Can you solve and tell me what is the value of P? Before that, I mean, of course, somebody can tell me the answer for that. You can solve for P. Before that, R naught of delta plus and R naught of delta minus, all those things, right? So we know this cost function P, right? So that is prior probability pi naught. This is what I'm P naught of gamma 1, right? So this is the thing, and 1 minus pi naught into what? P1 of gamma naught. In fact, this is the cost. This is the conditional cost. This is the conditional cost what I'm talking about. The notation what I'm now using, right? Because we have other, two rules available. Reason I wanted to write like this. So what does it mean? So if I have a plot like this, and this is my prior probability, right? So any point if I choose the straight line tangent to this, right? When pi naught is 0, you get what is called P1 of gamma naught. When pi naught is 0, right? So I'm sorry. When pi naught is 0, this point, right? So you get P1 of gamma naught. And when pi naught is 1, P naught of gamma 1 here. So what is it? It is the conditional cost when 1 is transmitted, and this is the conditional cost when 0 is transmitted. So this one only we are writing it as R1, the rule, right? So instead of writing in this way, we are writing this one as R1 of delta, and this one we are writing it as what? R naught of delta. So this is the conditional cost when 1 is transmitted. Thing only. P1 of gamma naught is nothing but R1 of delta, and P naught of gamma 1 is nothing but R naught of delta. That is the thing. When 0 is transmitted, what is the conditional cost? That is that R naught of delta. When 1 is transmitted, what is the conditional cost? That is R1 of delta. right? So you have this conditional cost R1 of delta and R0 of delta, and the minimax point is this, where this both are going to be the same. Your R1 of delta and R0 of delta are going to be the same here. This is R1 of delta in this, and this is going to be your R0 of delta, and both are going to be the same. That is what here we have used R0 of delta equal to what? R1 of delta. We are actually equating these two, right? Just by equating these two, we are able to get this value of this P. Someone solved this, but now coming to this binary representation, I mean, binary channel model, right? So this is more general discrete case, and because when it is a continuous, there is no problem. You will not have something like delta minus and delta plus and all. These are coming because we have a sudden change over here. Just before this, you have a rule 4, and just after that we have a rule 1. So we are not able to find out what is the rule at that point. It is not continuous slope, you know, it is not continuous. We have a sudden change in that slope available, right? So like this, you know, so I right here, this is going to be like this. As you know, talking about this as the rule as delta minus, and this is going to be the rule of delta plus. As far as this delta minus is concerned, what actually you are doing, you actually extending this line, be extended, right? So same slope, you have to extend this, which cuts here, and this is the location. What we know, what is this? This is nothing but R0 of delta minus, right? You know that what I am trying to say, when right, when P is 0, I'm talking about this P, right? So I will write it in this expression. So what I'm telling is this one, pi P naught of gamma 1 plus pi 1 P1 of gamma naught. Of course, pi 1 we can write it as what? 1 minus pi naught. So you can write it 1 minus pi, right? So when pi naught is 0, you get what? R1 of delta. And when pi naught is 0, pi naught is 0, what is that you get? You get R1 of delta, right? So this is the location. This point is going to be your R0 of delta R1, right? Of delta minus. Okay. Right. So I'm talking about, I need to choose only these two regions. This region as well as this region. Right. Only these two regions is what is needed. Now I'm just extending this one here and this one here. And this is the location of R delta plus. And this is going to be your R1 of delta plus. That is what I'm trying to say, right? Because we have two different slopes available. Two different slopes. Depends upon that slope, right? We have to fix this probability P, right? That is what is happening. So we have two rules, delta minus, delta plus. In fact, for this case, delta minus is rule 4, delta plus is rule 1, right? It is more general. I am writing delta minus and delta plus. But we are interested in getting the rule at this point. we cannot actually find out one rule, single rule for this point, and hence we go for randomized decision rule that consisting of both the rule, delta minus as the rule and delta plus as the rule. So if I go for delta minus and if I draw the straight line, it is like drawing the tangent in case of continuous curve, right? So this point cuts here, this is 1 here, right? So is at R naught of delta minus and this is R1 of delta minus. And this location, this region, when you extend on both sides, so this one is R1 of delta plus and this is R naught of delta plus. So these values actually you can get it from the graph, right? So once you know how to get this plot because we discussed that one long back. So using this, you just extend this line so that I can get these 4 values, this value, and this value as well as this value. These 4 values actually you will get. Once these values are known, then I can solve for P just by equating this R naught of delta equal to R1 of delta. So by equating this, somebody tell me what is the answer? What is P? Expression for that? Yes. Is it fine? So P is R1 of delta plus minus R naught of delta plus whole divided by, we have a expression in the denominator, right? So which is going to be your R naught of delta minus R naught of delta plus minus R1 of delta minus R1 of delta plus. Is it fine or is there any change in that sign and all? Check and revert me back. Hello, are you able to hear? Hello?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, is
Yes,
that
sir.
expression fine? Yeah.
Yes, sir.
So if you have any doubt, you can ask me. I'm ready to answer now because, right? So whatever I thought of telling regarding this minimax is now, right? It's over. Anyhow, we are going to do this task in the next class.